Alright, welcome to another video. Mic check 1, 2, we're in the yellow, that looks good. In the red a little bit, but I think that's more just a distortion thing, not really a... Well, if I popped your ears out, I apologize for that. Negative 45, that looks good to me. So let's go on. So let's see here, retake strategy. So let's make a part 2 video of this retake strategy. So what we're talking about here specifically is loading up some Anki flashcards to study every day. So Anki, as I've talked about before multiple times, this is how people graduate from med school, from law school. This is not a small thing. This is how I personally succeeded in my 2-year school. I was well above the rest of the class because I knew about this and others did not. And how did I learn about this? From a PhD candidate that said, this is what I use every day to me. So this is privileged insider knowledge about what these brilliant, successful academics are using. And it's free from me to you, something you get from this channel. So you're welcome. But in order to actually have it benefit you, you have to use it. And when I like to give advice to other people, one of the things I like to do is really think about like what I would tell someone and really think about like giving that person the best advice. And then don't even worry about saying it to them because they're not going to listen to me. They're just going to do whatever. And then just try to take that advice myself. Most of the times I really think about the best advice I would give to somebody, and I don't even tell that person that at all because I just keep it to myself. I mean, why would I want them to, earn the LPIC themselves and take the job that I'm going for? Like, any advice that's sufficiently suitable for someone else is sufficiently suitable for you. So that's something that's a way I like to think. Is if I ever feel like there's some perfect advice for someone and I wish I could do whatever I could to make them follow that advice, I keep it to myself and I try to make sure that I can follow it. Because if I can't even follow it, what good of advice is it for someone else? So here it is. Anki, 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 Anki. And I was not following my own advice, and that's why I failed the exam. So let's stop doing that. I'm going to follow my own advice, and I'm going to use Anki as part of my preparation for this exam. Okay, so we got through quite a bit. I think between videos I did do some work on this. So let's sort it by due date. All right, and then we've got 48. So we've got partitions, which are divisions of a hard disk. I've got my protein timer and my sedentary timer going. Sedentary timer, I'll just reset that now to prevent the annoying beeping. I'm going to keep going, even though I'm kind of out of breath right now. Maybe I can turn it down or just catch my breath. But there's never such thing as, too much time that's not sedentary. So I'm feeling good, so I'm going to keep going on that. And then let's go to the next section. So this is the design hard disk layout section. And some of these I am going to be doing off camera. It's just, I want to take this retake as soon as I can. I can't take it until the 18th. But I would like to take it maybe on the 23rd. I'm probably before the end of this month for sure. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. And as I said, I just want to get through these as soon as possible. So let's try to get through all of topic 102. All right, so topic 102.2 is installing a boot manager. So the key knowledge areas are providing alternative boot locations and backup boot options, installing and configuring a bootloader such as Grub Legacy, performing basic changes for Grub 2, interacting with the bootloader. So here's a partial list of the used files, terms, and utilities, and this is what we're going to make flashcards out of. So I'll probably split these up It's all given in one, but I'll split them up. So let's go ahead and use the technique of adding cards. So what we do is we make dummy cards, and I'll split them up. So menu.lst. There we go. Next one is grub.cfg. There we go. And then grub.conf. Okay, and then next one is grub install, and then grub mkconfig. Okay, and then the last one, one that I'm really familiar with, and it's kind of frustrating seeing this pop up all the time because it's all about UEFI. You can't buy a MBR machine anymore. Like maybe if you're on some old system, like if you're working for a school district, you'll see a lot of MBR, I'm sure. But so it's still relevant, but I just kind of wish there were more of an out with the old, in with the new attitude sometimes. There is something called the Lindy effect, which I feel like which is a really exciting thing I learned about recently, and is definitely relevant to this problem of what makes sense to learn and what doesn't make sense to learn. But at the same time, so let me talk about what the Lindy effect is. So the Lindy effect is a theorized phenomenon by which the future life expectancy of some non-perishable things, like a technology or an idea, is proportional to their current age. Thus, the Lindy effect proposes the longer a period something has survived to exist or be used in the present, the longer its remaining life expectancy. So longevity implies a resistance to change, obsolescence, or competition, and greater odds of continued existence into the future. Okay, so that's like not the best way to explain it. So let's go to the AI and let's get a better explanation of the Lindy effect. So in a really clear way and concise way, explain to me the Lindy effect.
The Lindy effect is a concept that suggests the longer a non-perishable thing, like a technology or an idea, has existed, the longer it can be expected to continue to exist into the future. In simpler terms, if something has survived for a long time, it's likely to survive even longer. For example, if a book has been in print for 50 years, it might be expected to be in print for another 50 years. But a book that's been in print for 100 years might be expected to stay in print for another 100 years. The idea is that durability or longevity in the past is a good indicator of future durability.
Yeah, so it's like a non-perishable idea. So, you know, if we think of like non-perishable foods, those can be life-saving, especially in the case of like emergencies and stuff. So like learning about things that are Lindy, as you would call them, can be definitely, I would say to some degree, is always worth your time to spend on. But at the same time, just in my opinion, these ephemeral short, technologies here and now that just kind of like the metaverse, for example, there's nothing Lindy about VR, I think. I mean, like dreams, have been discussed for centuries, but in my opinion, a good example of something that isn't Lindy effect is like virtual reality in the metaverse. But at the same time, there's been billions invested into it, and if you want to make a few million, something that just perhaps isn't Lindy, but has all this money associated with it, probably makes sense to spend to place your time and efforts on. So it's not a perfect example, but it's it's kind of a way you can come to terms with learning about things like the MBR. It's like they constantly come up, they're out of date. Why do you need to know it? Well, because it might have some Lindy properties to it where it has existed all throughout the history of computers. So in some way going forward, it might be something that continues to persist. So knowing about it could definitely be something like worth your while. All right, so let's go through and load up these cards. So menu.lst. Okay. Looks good to me. All right, on to the next one. Grub.cfg. Okay, this looks good to me. All right, so that's grub.cfg. The next one is grub.conf. Okay, and we can see this one is missing. So not sure what they're trying to get from this. Yeah, the conf is just completely missing. And we can see it is there. So maybe what we can try is to look just on the internet. It's frustrating when this happens. I wish it were better in this regard. All right, so let's look online. Grub.conf. Okay, so let's put this in there. All right, so on to the next card. Grub-install. Okay. All right, so I don't see. Yeah, there's only 3 hits on this. So let's look for this. Yeah, so it's kind of talking about update dash grub instead. So let's do it with this note. Oh, it's in yellow, so erase the formatting. Okay, and then there you go. That looks good to me. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so next is MBR. Okay, that looks good to me. All right, so that's all there is to it. Really important not to overcomplicate it and waste a lot of time. So next one is 102.3. Okay, so this one, I remember this one being pretty challenging. So managed shared libraries. So, okay, we can close this now and then add some more cards. So manage shared libraries, key knowledge areas, identify shared libraries, identify the typical locations of system libraries, load shared libraries. So here's a partial list of files, terms, and utilities. So LDD, LD config, slash etsy slash ld.so.conf, and it's a file, not a directory, so we have no no final /. Okay, and then LD path. Okay. All right, so just a short one this time, like that. That's always a definitely need those short ones. Very important. So 102.3. Now it's LDD. Okay, so to look up the shared libraries required by a specific program, use the, yep, there we go. Okay. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna go with this. All right, I like that. Next one. All right. All right, so that's it for that. So time to add some new ones. So this is 102.3. It's time for 102.4. So this is use Debian package management. And one thing to remember too is this is where I got the lowest amount of points on. So I need to make sure that that I get more points on this section. And if I can do that and get the same points on all the other sections, I should be fine. And I think it is the case. Okay, honestly not. So far, these are twos. This is one. So I think where I really went wrong on the test is the ones in this section that are a 3 or a 4. So these two here are the highest weight, the 3. So I think I really need to pay extra attention to these. I think I got a lot of these wrong. I think specifically the DPKG, I really didn't have a clear understanding of. So for using Debian package management, the key knowledge areas are to install, upgrade, and uninstall Debian binary packages, finding packages containing specific files or libraries which may or may not be installed, obtaining package information like version, content, dependencies, package integrity, and installation status, whether or not the package is installed, and awareness of app. So here's a partial list of the used files, terms, and utilities. So you don't need the full list because you don't need to get every single question correct to pass the test. You just need to pass the test. So this partial list will be totally fine. Next is DPKG. Oops. Okay, and then DPKG reconfigure. Okay. Apt get. Okay, and then apt cache. All right, so that looks good. Now what we're going to do is build out these cards. So this is 102.4. Only got one lesson for that. Source, and then I don't see a. Oh, you know what? I think it's sources.list. There's a typo. Oh no, there's a typo that I made. So it's sources.list. Okay, and this is not the directory. This is the file. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so we can do this whole text. Reading a lot of texts is not a bad thing. It's just the problem is if you try to give an answer and your answer it has to be a text wall. It's like, well, you could get one word of that text wall wrong and totally misunderstand the point. So like it's okay to have a long text in my opinion in the question, but you want the answer to be really simple and concise. Because if any part of this text triggers, oh, they're talking about DPKG, then that's good. You want to be able to associate things to a context instead of just like memorize random words and like random order of words. You want to be able to have a contextual understanding of like what terms and concepts are within the same concept, the same context of other terms and contexts. Yeah. So like this is the kind of stuff that if you don't know it, you're gonna fail the exam by 1 or 2 points. Okay, and some of these are like, you know, they're specific within a context, so it's kind of hard to just, like, if I were to say, blank is used to perform operations like searches in the package index. It'd be like, well, within which context? Within a Debian system? Great. But within other kinds of systems? No, that's not right. It's yum or zipper. So I have to be careful to include, the appropriate contexts. All right, but that looks good to me. So save that and then add some more cards. So this is dot 4, so on to dot 5. Dot 5 is to use RPM and yum package management. So this is where, and this might be where I got, I actually don't remember, and I'm under a do not disclose, so I can't talk about specifically what I've seen on the exam. But what I can say is that I need more work on this topic specifically. And this is the weight 3 section of that topic. So definitely need to get these two areas pinned down. So one thing I might want to do is read again full word for word the lowest ranking section and the highest weighting. I think that makes a lot of sense. Although, these little ones getting that wrong might add up, but I just think logically this makes sense. And as I said, I really need 1 or 2 questions to be right where they were wrong previously to pass the test. All right, so key knowledge areas of using RPM and yum package management as an alternative to apt. Install, reinstall, upgrade, and remove packages using RPM, yum, and zipper. Obtain information on RPM packages such as version, status, dependencies, integrity, and signatures. Determine what files a package provides, as well as which package a specific file comes from, and then awareness of DNF. And then this is different from Debian binary packages. We need awareness of apt. Here we're going to develop an awareness of DNF instead. All right, so let's do the temporary cards and then fill them out more fully later. Oops. All right, so this is 1025. Okay, and then RPM. Okay. Oh, and there's my protein timer. I can sit on that for a few minutes. That's totally fine. Yeah, we're at 5, so let's get all the way through this, end the video, and then I'll take care of my protein timer and then run some errands. I might do this again later. Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. There we go. All right, next one. Oh, but this is another one that's either I spelled it wrong, so make sure that it's exactly spelled right. No, this is another one that's not in the thing, but we can get that from somewhere else. So okay, so as the name implies, 4 looks good. Conf. Okay. All right, so 2 more to go. You see how powerful this will be? It's like once I get to the test, I'm just completely. I don't have to think about this anymore. It's just all readily available. It takes advantage of the confirmation bias, the availability bias. It's like if you don't do this, like the things that are going to be available are the misconceptions you have that you've had your whole life about how Linux works, and like if they're mostly true, then that's great, you're going to pass the test. But if they're mostly false, you don't have any chance of passing that test, because in the moment, the heat of the moment, you're struggling to think of something, the thing that's going to come to mind is the most available thing, which is your misconception. But if instead you use Anki, the thing that'll come most to mind is your training, because you just drilled it. It's burned into your brain like a branding iron. So like, you'll have that misconception probably, but it'll be less readily available on the top of your mind than your training. Okay, so all right, last one. So now it's time for 102.6. Okay, so we got to do browse, I think. Yeah. So 102.6 is Linux as a virtualization guest. And this is just a weight of 1, but it could have been any one that caused me to fail. So, and whatever it was probably from this category. The key knowledge areas are to understand the general concept of virtual machines and containers, understand common elements of virtual machines in an IaaS, infrastructure as a service cloud, such as computing, instances, block storage, and networking, which is a big one. I want to transition in the cloud, so because that's where I believe there's more jobs and funding, budgets, bigger budgets, more jobs. So understand common elements of virtual machines in a IaaS cloud, such as computing, instances, block storage, and networking. Understand unique properties of a Linux system which have to changed. I think that's a typo there, which have to change when a system is cloned or used as a template. So this is like the, dbus machine ID. Understand how system images are used to deploy virtual machines, cloud instances, and containers. Understand Linux extensions which integrate Linux with a virtualization product. And then awareness of cloud-init. So hopefully we might see if there's some problems, because if we let's keep in mind cloud-init, go through, make all these cards, and then see if just from making the cards we'll have a awareness of that. But for now, let's do the same strategy. But if we walk away from this strategy and don't have an awareness of cloud-init, then that's going to be a problem. All right, dbus machine ID. Okay, so now let's do a browse. And then we'll sort it. Okay, and then we'll keep in mind cloud-init to make sure that pops up. So this is 102.6, so it's this one here. All right, virtual machine. Okay. Okay, so a blank has many applications, physical computer and hardware, such as BIOS, hard drive. So let's go with this. So a blank. So many aspects. A blank. And this is good because we need to know the difference between like a container and a virtual machine. So we can see that a blank will often use hard disk images that are stored as individual files. So is that the same way a container goes? Well, we'll see when I do this card if I have this right. If I pick the word container for this instead of virtual machine, then that will be an error of my knowledge that is incorrect and has to be relearned. And we can see the next card is a Linux container. So it's really important to know the difference between these two. So here we go. Here's cloud-init popping up. Yeah, so here's what we're talking about for containers. Let me see if container. Okay, so container does show up another time. All right, you know what? Let's go with this. Okay. And then application container is next. There we go. Now remember this is just one, so we don't have to be too crazy with this, and probably don't need to know the intricacies of a control group. And you can see itself, it's actually very short. So next, so this is application container. So container technology, an application. Blank. All right, so next is guest drivers. Okay, there we go. There we go. SSH host keys. Oops. Okay, we can go to the public internet for this. Sometimes it doesn't exactly, the term doesn't exactly show up, but information about the term certainly does. Ah, here we go. So this shows the exact term. Wait, what? There's a problem with SSH host keys? Let's stick with what's in the training. So let's look for host key specifically, because I know there's different kinds of keys. There's a public key. There's a private key. Okay. I mean, I know what SSH host keys are, but okay, that's good enough card for me. This is just a you know, it's just you don't have to get too crazy with this one because it's a weighted one. But this one is important to know about. Just take my word for it. Oh. I might as well just throw this in there as well. Seems relevant. All right, so that looks good. Okay, so that's 102.6. So that's it for this video. Um, yeah, so the next one's on the commands. Oh, did I not forget to start my protein timer? I did. Well, let's see here. I woke up at not. I think I took my first hit at 9. Oh, you know what? I haven't. It went off and I didn't address that now. So I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop the video. I'm gonna take my protein hit. Then I might run some errors, some errands, and then possibly later today I'll finish making the cards for topic 103. So thanks for watching and stay tuned for the next one.